All right, hello everybody again. Welcome to another episode of Balls and Bros. We're back. Thank you again for joining us. I'm David. This is Jacob. We're the Bros. Jacob, what kind of balls are we talking about today?
Today we'll be talking about football, basketball, and baseball.
It's a lot of balls. All right. First topic we're going to talk about is the Broncos. They're having a rough time this offseason. They're losing a lot of pieces. They lost one of the best pieces in Peyton Manning, as you know, retiring this year after their Super Bowl win. Jacob, they have a long way to go, but important place that they need to start is quarterbacks. They don't really have one. What do you think they need to do here to be ready for the 2016 season?
Well, with them not taking in the fact that they could actually lose Osweiler this season, they're in a place where they didn't think that they would be at this point of the season. So there's a few options here. They can always draft a quarterback.
This is true.
That's the topic right now.
There are a few out there that they could use.
Legitimately, there's two, Connor Cook and Paxton Lynch. Those are the two names that if they want to draft them in the first or possibly even the second round, those are the two names that would be there. Or you could go a different route. Hoyer is still on the market. Josh McCown now. Ryan Fitzpatrick. You can trade for Colin Kaepernick, Mike Glennon, Nick Foles. Now these are all intriguing quarterbacks that they can get. In my opinion, I would rather them draft a quarterback. The Broncos do a really good job at grooming their quarterbacks. And I don't think it was just Peyton Manning who made Osweiler a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They saw potential in him, they got him, they believed in him, the organization, and they groomed him. Now it is going to be different because Manning's not there, but that's why it's more of a need for me to get a quarterback in the draft like Paxton Lynch, who has already shown experience. You bring him in, and he might not be able to start for you this year, but at least you're going to have something for down in the future.
And you have a point with drafting quarterbacks and them being able to groom them. They have weapons on offense that would make it a lot easier for a learning quarterback to progress with. Unlike a team without weapons like the Browns. Sorry, last episode we gave it to him. It's going to be a lot easier for him, even though he's not learning under Peyton Manning. Personally, I think they should go to possibly the free agency. While I don't think they could get Kaepernick, because I feel like he's going to have a nice home still in San Francisco. They're going to welcome him back, and Chip Kelly's going to make him even a better player. I think they should try for Fitzpatrick, because Fitzpatrick, what he did to the Jets last year is he led them. And he did great. One of the first years the Jets have had a good quarterback in a long time. The only problem with it is that he wants to get paid, and I think personally that he deserves to get paid. And if the Jets aren't willing to pay him, the Broncos definitely should move in on that and take him. Next topic we're talking about are there's been a lot of ups and downs in the free agency for a lot of teams. It's some of the favorite times of year for every team, especially for you. Throwing Jacob around with the mock drafts, throwing everybody around, trying to predict what the draft is going to be like. So we're going to talk about some of the free agents that have been taken. Not Bruce Irvin, not RG3, not Lamar Miller or Brock Osweiler, who was stolen. Not the big names. Talking about these guys that kind of slipped under the radar, haven't been talked about quite as much. First, we're going to go to a really big one that seems to be being ignored by everybody is Martellus Bennett. He's big, he can catch, and he just got signed by the Patriots. Now, if that doesn't scare the rest of the NFL, I don't know what will. Jake?
The Martellus Bennett signing is bad news for the entire NFL because no team could single-handedly guard Gronk by himself. And now you're throwing Bennett in the mix. With their big frames, both can catch. It's very, very bad for the AFC and the rest of the NFL. I really like this signing, though. It's another Belichick and Kraft move. Very, very good job on their part. I would even go to say that they could probably lead the league in combined touchdowns this season. Very likely. They're both red zone targets. So that was a great signing by them.
What Martellus Bennett did with the Giants, and even before him at the Cowboys, correct? He was a pass catcher. He was fantastic. He was a fantastic tight end, fantastic addition. And next to Gronkowski, I don't know if there's a defense out there that can stop him. A player that did very well in the seasons that he's been healthy, Alfred Morris. He was just signed by the Cowboys. Cowboys were in desperate need of running back. They had everything except a running back. They had some basically bench players all season this year that they ran with, and they still had Darren McFadden rush for over 1,000 yards. Now with him joining all those other really underrated running backs, they could seriously do some damage. What do you think about it, Jacob?
Alfred Morris is gonna go over 1,000 yards this season. That's no question. As long as he stays healthy.
Bold.
The only problem that I have with the Alfred Morris signing is I thought that they should have drafted Derrick Henry in the second round because he'll most likely be available. So with Alfred Morris signing, that will basically eliminate any running back signings early in the draft. But besides that, the Cowboys have got themselves a nice, fairly young running back, cowbell type running back who they could use on third downs or in the red zone and keep Darren McFadden away from injuries so they can both have good seasons. And even if Alfred Morris doesn't go for 1,000 yards, then all of the running backs combined will, for sure.
And behind that offensive line, that is just a monster of an offensive line. The best offensive line we've seen for, I don't know who wouldn't do well. Last name we're going to talk about is, again, going to the Patriots, Chris Long, defensive end, got signed. Jake, Chris Long?
Chris Long is going to provide great depth. He'll actually probably start this season as a defensive end. Chris Long has had a few down years, 3 down years with the Rams. He was great, and then he started slowly getting worse and worse. But the Patriots have a history of getting those players that have done bad, and now they revive their careers with the Patriots. And I think this is going to be another case for another win for Kraft and Belichick again, where they get a steal. The Cowboys wanted Chris Long, and they needed desperate help at defensive end. The Patriots didn't need desperate help at the defensive end, but Chris Long realized what they're doing there. That's why I think this is a great opportunity for him going to the Patriots.
It's a win for the Patriots organization as well as for Chris Long, who, again, combined with a team like that, there's nothing stopping him from having a really great comeback year. Before we get to Jacob's new revised top 10 picks of his mock draft, we're going to go to some rule changes that have happened in the NFL. Jacob, what kind of rule changes have we seen in the NFL?
Okay, so the new rule changes, there's 3 big ones that I want to hit on.
That's right.
The chop blocks, all will be illegal.
100%. Even interior line, right off the line of scrimmage, no more chop blocks. Absolutely none.
Which I sort of understand and I kind of don't, because they're trying to make this they're trying to protect their quarterbacks.
Yes.
And eliminating the chop blocks for the running back, I mean, that's opening it up for the linebackers.
Yes, it is.
That's
I personally don't agree with it. It's part of the game, especially with the quick pass scenarios where they just need to get the offensive line out of the way for a quarterback to launch it. Or like he said with the running backs, those running backs are not very big. They cannot block a 250-pound linebacker who's made of pure meat and muscle coming at Darren Sproles.
Darren Sproles cannot stop.
It's not gonna happen. He's gonna get crushed every time, and it's gonna make it hard for the quarterback. The NFL is been moving into the direction of trying really hard to protect the quarterbacks. This is going to be a big step back from that, because quarterbacks need that from their running backs and sometimes tight ends and others. The chop block has always been illegal outside of the line of scrimmage. In an open field, you're not allowed to do it because that's how you get injured. But off the line of scrimmage, it's almost necessary. It's just a part of the game, and it's going to be unavoidable. There are going to be a lot of calls for it coming up in this in the upcoming season. The next we're talking about is they're altering the ruling on horse collar, where if you grab a player by their nameplate, it's now a horse collar. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jacob, turn around. This is a horse collar. This is a horse collar, 100%. You can't grab there. That's how you get your neck injured. But the name is right here, and if you grab from here, it's the same as grabbing from here on the jersey or anywhere else. It's just a tackle. I again disagree with this rule change. I feel like it's taking away a part of the game. It's going to make it harder to catch open field runners, and it's going to get called a lot in the interior of the line, where I feel like it gets grabby, especially when you're trying to run through big linemen. It's going to be called a lot on defense because just their hand might be seen there or might be grabbing, but it's not a danger to anybody, I believe. Jacob?
Well, the NFL wants more points scored, so that is one big reason why they're doing that rule. I mean, it's opening it up now for all the runners, so I could see why they did it from that aspect. I just don't like it for the game. Another rule that is going to take place this season is 2 unsportsmanlike conducts will be an automatic ejection. Last season, my favorite game of the year, one of my favorite games, Odell Beckham versus Josh Norman.
Yes.
Who didn't like that? I mean, as an NFL fan, we like to see that stuff. We like to see the dirty football, those after the play calls, and now they're taking that away.
I personally am not completely against the change here. I believe those kinds of fouls, and sportsmanlike conduct fouls, make you look bad. It hurts your team. It's 15 yards, one way or the other. It's 15 yards against you, no matter what. It hurts the team and it hurts the game. While sure it is entertaining sometimes, like that game, it does take away more than anything. And if people are taken out of the game for it, maybe they'll stop being so violent after the whistle, and maybe they can save it for between the whistles. All right, Jacob has an update to his NFL draft. NFL mock draft? Jacob, what do you got?
I have Laremy Tunsil going to Tennessee with the first overall pick because of their lack of an offensive tackle. He fits that perfectly, being the best tackle available. I have a change at number 2 with Cleveland's pick. With the signing of RG3, they no longer need a quarterback in the first round, so I have them taking the best defensive player overall, Jalen Ramsey. 3, San Diego, with their need of an offensive tackle and Jalen Ramsey being gone now, this opens the door for Ronnie Stanley from Notre Dame. With the 4th pick, I have the Cowboys taking DeForest Buckner. He moved up from my last mock draft. DeForest Buckner is what the Cowboys need. The Cowboys need depth on the defensive end position and defensive tackle, and he's big and physical, and he plays both of those positions, so he'll fit well there. Number 5, Jacksonville. I have them taking Miles Jack, the number 1 overall linebacker in this year's draft class. He can fit what Jacksonville is trying to accomplish, already putting pieces around the defense this year. Malik Jackson, Deshaun Gibson, Prince Mukamara, Miles Jack could be a good centerpiece to the middle. Baltimore, with 6, I have him taking Joey Bosa. I have him sliding down a little bit. Joey Bosa can provide a good boost of defense, and he would be a good pick for them. For number 7, I have San Francisco taking Jared Goff, the quarterback from Cal. He is a California kid, close proximity to them. He, in my opinion, has the best arm in this year's draft class. So this will really be a good move and a bold statement, not taking Carson Wentz as the first quarterback. This will be a good move for San Fran. 8, Philadelphia, I have them taking Ezekiel Elliott with their overall need of basically everything on offense. They're just looking for playmakers at this point, and Elliott can do that. 9, Tampa Bay, I have them taking a very good steal in this draft, Vernon Hargreaves. They need depth and just overall playmakers on the defensive side, and Hargreaves can provide that. And lastly, New York Giants at 10, they pair Odell Beckham Jr. with the top receiver in this year's class, Laquan Treadwell, aka the mini Dez, so he will be a good fit there. And those are the top 10 picks in my mock draft.
All right, moving on to some other balls today. We're going to start with the one thing that everybody's talking about. Everybody knows it's Golden State in their almost record-breaking season. Jacob, will they do it? Will they break the all-time greatest record in the NBA?
Yes, Golden State will break the record. There's really no one at this point standing in their way the rest of the season. I thought earlier, just a few games back, that they wouldn't break the record just because they still have to face San Antonio 2 more times. But with Popovich resting all of his players almost every night, he will probably do it with the Warriors in their games. So the Warriors have nobody standing in their way. They're going to break 72-10. They can finally put the Michael Jordan crying emoji to use, because that record will be broken for once, for the first time ever. Golden State's going to do it. They're Steph Curry, almost unstoppable. We thought unstoppable until, again, the San Antonio game with Leonard and Danny Green. But there's no one else who can do it. And there's nobody else that they're going to face the rest of the season.
And even then, they could beat the San Antonio Spurs. They played them in San Antonio, lost, but they played in Oakland and won. So it's up in the air, but they can beat everybody.
And they could still lose to San Antonio and still break the record.
That's right.
So
they could lose both games to San Antonio, which they probably won't, and still hold the record, because we talked about it off camera. There used to be teams in their way, but they were running out of teams that would be able to beat the Golden State Warriors before the season is over. We're talking about the top team in the East is the Cavaliers. LeBron James, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, all the names. They seem to be almost unstoppable in their conference. While I believe they, along with the rest of the league, are leagues below the Warriors and the Spurs, even maybe the Thunder. Who do you think in the East could bring the Cavaliers down in the playoffs and stop them from going to the championship again?
Well, in a 7-game series, the team that comes to mind for me has to be his former team, Miami. Dwayne Wade, Hassan Whiteside, the new addition of Joe Johnson. Once they get Chris Bosh back, Goran Dragic, they have the right amount of pieces to get it done against the Cavs. I think that will be the team that will upset them. I actually think the Heat will go to the finals.
You're not even saying that they can win against the Cavaliers in a 7-game series. You're saying that they will.
They will, because the Cavs, they have LeBron James, they have Kyrie Irving, and they have Kevin Love, but we saw it last year. There was no drive in the Cavaliers. LeBron has won his ring. He doesn't have the same drive that he had against San Antonio in 2013 in that series. But Miami, they're pretty hungry, all of their players, and they're a very talented squad, so I do think they could beat them, and I think they will.
All right. Personally, I mostly agree, but for the most part, I believe that the Cavaliers will make it to the finals because nobody can stand up in a playoff situation to them. In my eyes, while the Miami Heat can probably put up a fight, I believe that, unfortunately, again, there is no real competition for it this year. Now we're going to go back to the West again. Team in, I believe, 4th place, the Los Angeles Clippers. They've done really well this season, especially without Blake Griffin over the past, how long has he been out?
A few months. It was only supposed to be 2 weeks, but it's actually been way longer than that.
So he's fine now. He's healthy. He's serving his suspension. Once he comes back, will they improve much with Blake Griffin, or will they kind of just stay where they are? And if they do improve, would they stand a chance against the Thunder, the Spurs, or the Warriors in the playoffs?
Okay, so with the Clippers, Blake Griffin might actually, with his return, might actually set the team back. Because right now they're finding their groove. Chris Paul has basically put the team on his back, scoring more points, dishing out more assists, more steals. He's done everything he can. DeAndre Jordan's still a presence on the defensive side, Redick with the threes. So I don't know if Blake Griffin will actually help them. So if the Clippers can beat the Grizzlies in the first round of the playoffs, then in the second round, they would be forced to play the Warriors. And like we've said, no team can beat the Warriors besides the Spurs. So even with Blake Griffin, that would not help really at all.
So you believe they could be, well, you believe that he will probably not help, but rather set them back. Yeah. We really should have talked about what we were going to say before the show, because I was going to say the same thing. Because they're getting, like you said, they're getting into a groove. They've got it going. They're doing great for, especially not having the superstar. Throwing him in there might just throw off the balance of the team. Maybe the locker room issues. He punches a guy in the face. Do you remember that? He broke his hand on a guy's face in the locker room. Not trying to, apply anything, but I feel like they're better off without him as well. Now, moving on to a different ball, Jacob insisted because he had another bold prediction for this upcoming season. Not football, not basketball, but a different kind of ball. We're talking about baseball. Opening day's coming up. It's this Sunday, right? Yeah. It's coming up this Sunday. Jacob has an idea for who might be the favorite team to win, or rather his favorite team. Who do you like to possibly win the World Series?
Okay, so taking everything in from last year, combining with this year's free agency, I really like the Chicago Cubs this year to take it. With Jake Arrieta, in my opinion, the best pitcher in the league, and Rizzo, Kyle Schwarber, and Chris Bryant, it's a pretty dominant foursome of batters. It will create a lot of home runs this season. And then they picked up Jason Hayward, Ben Zobrist, and John Lackey, the pitcher, the veteran pitcher. So I really think that they're going to win it this year. Although the Blue Jays and the Rangers will also do pretty good this season, the Cubs will be the team that ultimately takes it all.
Personally, I can see the Royals coming back and winning again. They haven't changed much, but they haven't gained much, but they haven't lost much either. If they can just stay consistent, if they play like they played last year, there's nothing stopping them from winning again and taking it all.
And they're very young, so.
and so they'll be able to last for a long, long time. Well, before we finish up the episode, we have some questions that were asked from some viewers online. Jake, first question.
Okay, this is a question from at DC Theories. Will the Lakers be good anytime soon?
Well, it depends how you define soon, because if you ask soon, like between now and the playoffs, no. Between now and next year, probably not. However, they are in the lottery this year. They're going to get a great, again, young player that they can add to their already growing young team that could help them next year. But I believe it would take at least 2 years for us to start seeing any real improvement and making the playoffs again.
Yeah, I basically see the same thing. It will take about 2 or 3 years. Like you said, they're in the lottery, so they could get another player. They have about 4 young studs right now on the who can shoot. So if you add another one, I mean, that's a pretty good 5. All they need is actually a 5, a center. So if they could get one of those in the draft or trade, free agency, I mean, they can actually turn it around pretty quick.
Next question.
The next question is by Gavin Taylor. What will it take for the Cowboys to make it to the Super Bowl this year?
A lot. You think of the Cowboys and you think of Tony Romo, Des Bryant, and you think of Sean Lee never being around.
No defense.
The defensive line never being good, and the defense really overall needing something to put them over to make them good. They have this really great offense. They have Tony Romo, who is underappreciated, and these weapons, these tight ends who can catch, these receivers who are crazy, this offensive line, now Alfred Morris. What they need is a defense. And when I say defense, I don't mean 1 or 2 pieces, I mean 1 or 2 pieces at every position. They need a lot. It'll be a while before we see them make a run at the championship.
Well, I'm a little opposite on that. I see them actually being pretty close to a championship. Just 2 seasons ago, the Cowboys were 2 wins away from the championship. So it's not, and that was with no defense really at all. So now they have Byron Jones, Skandrick back, a healthy Lee, McLean back. If they can somehow add 3 or 4 difference makers on the defense, that's what it will take for the Cowboys to make the Super Bowl. A good pass rusher and somebody who the Cowboys can rely on in the secondary.
Last question before we're done.
This one's by Andre the Giant. Are the Browns still going to draft Carson Wentz with the signing of RG3?
Touched on this earlier.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier. They will not sign, or they will not get Carson Wentz. They don't need to risk that pick at 1 when they could get a tight end like Jalen Ramsey, who they have the hole at safety, losing to Sean Gibson to the Jaguars. So no, they will not draft Carson Wentz.
And that's a very soft no, because it is the Browns, and we all know that they love to make really great decisions in the NFL draft. All right, that does it for this episode of Balls and Bros. Thank you for watching. If you have any more questions about any sports-related questions, any sports you want, you can leave it in the comment section about any team. I'm David. This is Jacob. This is Balls and Bros. And thank you again for watching.